Fülig Jimmy's Diary, Part 1.
So, back when I got off the boat, I made up my mind I'm gonna keep a diary. It came to me after I had this, down to earth, high level chat with some fella on board. I'd already put on the late Mr. Something suit, cause fate decided I was gonna be a foster dress corpse educator, or something like that. Anyway, the main thing, as they say in them literary circles, is culture. Turns out writing a diary's a form of high arts, like poetry, but without the rhymes. Or crimes. Now, first thing that happened, a giant dumb mistake. See, them clothes I got from the late gentleman, I had them tailored by a fella who was also riding the ship. But what no one tells you is, dead folks own shirts too. Only the suit got tailored. The shirt, that was left as it was. Tight like a strangler's handshake. Tight like a strangler's handshake. Who would have guessed such a massive dead guy had a baby neck in shirts? The shirt neck? The neck shirt? The shirt on the neck, or the neck of the shirt? Anyway, I near choked to death. From this. From that. From all of it. The shoes weren't no better. Guy was a walking wardrobe, but his shoes barely fit on my hooves. And them trousers? Like a circus tent. I could have wrapped myself up like them desert folk. What do they call it? A burn hose or a burrito? Anyway, the tailor fixed the pants. But the hat, the brim hit my shoulders. Had to carry it by hand like a gentleman carries a melon. His Majesty, by fate's generosity, also gave me some coins and told me, when you land, go find a man named Gomperez Hidalgo. Or maybe it was Hagildo. Higadore? Something like that. Sure sounded like one of them Spanish aristocracies. Like a Baron de Brickyard or Sir Tapastapas. But never mind looking. Turns out they're the ones watching me, seeing where Irving gets off the ship, which is me. The king. Obviously. Now, this whole diary writing thing ain't easy, but I'll get the knack. Like a spoiled rich kid learns to take a proper punch in boarding school. Before we got to shore, me and His Majesty had a little friendly conversating. He liked talking with me. Chatting, gauzing, logsing. Yeah, that one's good. He said to me, "You're gonna have a fascinating experience." So I told him, I'm already excited. I love experiences. Last time was in Cairo, but don't worry, all 3 taxi drivers pulled through. He laughed. He usually does. That's his thing. Then he goes, just be careful not to blunder into important affairs, the kind one ought to know about, like main proceedings, higher matters, or something to that effect. That was the style he used, real ceremonial. And I said, well, Your Highness, just educate me on the factualities and I'll confess to anything later. So then he starts explaining. First thing you gotta know, he says, the island was discovered 170 years ago by a pirate named Warrens. He became the boss of the locals, and they liked him real much, 'cause he robbed a lot, killed a few, but was always nice to the natives. So I go, and what became of this here Warrens? And he says, my great-grandpapa kicked him off the island and took over. But Warrens' descendants still claim they deserve the throne, say it's rightfully theirs. That's horse nonsense, I says, which is like cow nonsense, only more royal. Steady, he says. There's more of 'em. Plenty of folks wanting crowns. I said, so it's a whole royal buffet. And he said, exactly. In my granddaddy's day, another Warrens riled up the locals again. They got a thing for Warrenses, see? Grandpapa had to escape the island with nothing but a royal scepter in his underpants. Maybe not exactly like that, but that was the gist. Now, around this time, some other fella named Alvarez, he was a lawyer and a diplopot. Anyway, some kind of political guy. He gathered up a gang of gutter snipes in Singapore. Then, with some Yankee help, he snuck in at night, kicked out Warrens, took the capital city Elmira, handed guns to the scum, and boom, called it an army. Then he made himself president, built hotels, buses, did deals, and even got into the ship business with some American company called Propserosity, or proper spaghetti, or something. Anyway, there was fighting again between Alvarez and Warrens, but my papa, the real king, came back with a ship and crew and smacked them both down. Took back the island. Court said both should be executed, but Papa spared Alvarez since he wasn't no bloody pirate killer. Just a crooked politician. He only got yelled at real hard and was banned forever from the island. I told His Majesty, same happened to me. I got banned from 2 islands. He asked which ones. I said, England and South America. But I'm good on all the rest. Just not too often. I got limited landing rights. He said, well then, back to business. I said, proceed, your royalness. So he tells me, Alvarez and his whole clan were exiled. Setting foot on the island was punishable by instant death. His laws were scrapped. And Warren's? He didn't make laws. So instead of repealing them, they just hung him personally, real high up on a classy palm tree. He added that in any other country, Warrens would have been hanged anyway, for piracy, manslaughter, robbery, arson, and general disrespect. I'm telling ya, this diary business ain't easy. So the royal prince king told me all that, and I listened close, cause it was stuff I gotta know, customarily, honorably. Then I said, so they booted Alvarez and hung Warrens, no more throne clingers around? And he said, one left. The pirate's son. He was a wee little rascal during the old wars. Locals hit him. He grew up and became a proper villain. Got caught by the Hollandians. By then, he had a long criminal resume. Name's Bob Warrens. Young guy, but already a champ in robbing and killing. Got sentenced to 15 years. He even swore in court, and His Majesty told me this real serious like. He swore that once he got out, he'd kill the king, every last St. Antonio, all the Alvarezes, and be king himself. But His Majesty said, that's unlikely. He's sitting tight in hard labor. Then he mentioned a fella named Sir Egmont. That's the Prime Minister. His Majesty's mama's brother. A real proper man. He don't come to Singapore, would spoil the intrigue. But if someone mentions his name, I gotta know. He's the forever Prime Minister. He used to advise His Majesty's dad. Tall, gray-haired, serious-looking bloke with a sword mark across his forehead. A real scar. A legendary one. He never leaves Elmira. Ever. Just so I know. So I said, got it. Then the ship docked. And I almost died from that cursed tight shirt. Awful stuff.
The policeman gently took hold of the young man's arm.
Come along now.
The prince followed him like a sleepwalker. They were back in the city, walking past a pub. The officer glanced at his watch.
My shift ended 20 minutes ago. How about a beer?
I've never tasted alcohol. Besides, I have no money.
Don't worry about it. My treat.
You can't treat a reigning monarch. But thank you, good man.
What a character. If he truly were a king, he couldn't play the part any better. Poor fellow.
How long have you been feeling this way in your head?
I am a king.
All right. Just one sip of beer won't hurt. Even kings drink sometimes. Richard the Lionheart shared wine with his soldiers on crusade.
The boy thoughtfully stroked his chin.
That's true. The example of an English king is worth following.
They went into the bar and ordered beer at the counter.
Now, friend, you'll come with me somewhere quiet to rest.
Are you mad, officer? I must get to Elmira immediately. I'll sort everything out there, then the inquiry begins. And the guilty will suffer, even if they've fled to Singapore. The English king is my good friend. He'll hand them over without mercy.
But you can't just go to the Isle of Happiness. It's very far, you know. Hiring a ship would cost a fortune. There are no regular routes out that way.
Once there were, but when my grandfather drove out the rebel Alvarez and his government, the island regained its noble reputation. Ships avoided it after that.
I think I read something about that.
You might have. Greedy businessmen made a big fuss over it. They bought up every profitable, right from the revolutionary government's president. Don Barabbas Alvarez, that scoundrel.
He knows every detail of this delusion, thought the officer kindly.
You can't get there, son. Trust me. I'll take you to a nice, quiet place. They take good care of restless monarchs.
The prince recoiled.
You wouldn't dare have me committed?
Of course not. Oops.
Like lightning, the prince dashed out the door. That was the most terrifying threat he'd faced yet on this bizarre journey. To be continued.